What's up, dudes? My name is Nick. Welcome back for another one of my weekly Sunday discussion videos. This is a video series where I take the opportunity to kind of talk about things relating to Korean music that are not specifically about the songs or the albums itself. So that is the reason for this. For this video, we're going to be talking about the difference in just general fan behavior between fandoms that support small groups that are not very popular versus fandoms that support groups that are very popular, or so, whatever range in between. If you guys have any suggestions, if you want to hear my thoughts on something relating to Korean music or K-pop or something like that, then leave them down in the comments below, because, you know, ideas are always welcome. And of course, I would like to kind of get you guys involved in creating a topic for an upcoming video. So do that, or just listen to me talk about what I've got to say on this topic. And this is a topic or something that I see come up pretty frequently when I see just general discussion about people talking about how, oh, fans of this group are horrible while fans of this group are great. And you know, it's something that I've seen that has been kind of discussed among other people. It's been something that I have seen people leave in comments on my videos, and I've been involved in that kind of discussion myself. And that was kind of the thing that sort of was the inspiration for why exactly I want to kind of just put my thoughts on this down into a video. And, you know, ultimately, at the very end of the day, when people say that fans of this unpopular group are super chill and they're really cool and there aren't any horrible people in that fandom, in comparison to, you know, very popular groups, you know, there's plenty of popular groups that have just horrible reputations for having horrible fans. And, you know, saying that small groups have super chill fans, I don't necessarily think that that's true. Now, it is just from your general perception and the way that you kind of experience interactions with those fans on, you know, like on a large scale within like the entire context of the K-pop discussion that happens on a daily basis. But it isn't true in just the sense that, you know, every single fan of, you know, this group or this singer is cool and they're awesome and there aren't horrible people. Because, to be honest, K-pop and pop music in general kind of attracts people who have tendencies to be nasty, like you see in K-pop all the time. And just because a group's not popular doesn't mean that there are not people like that who are actually supporting that group and following them. It just means that there's less of them. And so in instances of, you know, EXO or whoever else that you want to, you know, XOLs I should say, or any other groups that that generally kind of have a somewhat negative perception towards them because their fans are very, you know, they seem to be kind of, you know, aggressive and mean pretty frequently. And the reason for that, of course, is just because there's more of those kinds of people that support that group than there are that don't. So, you know, it isn't actually true, in my opinion, that the small groups have the most chill fan bases. It just means that the volume of people being, you know, no fun, it just isn't there in comparison to the more popular groups. Because the more popular you are, the more popular as a group, of course, the more people you're going to attract as fans. And the more people that are, you know, that have good conversation, that say nice things, that don't say mean things, that don't attack people for no reason, there's a lot more of those people. But there's also a lot more of the people that are, you know, that just exhibit all of the bad behavior that people don't like seeing in K-pop fandoms and all of that stuff. And, you know, that's really what it comes down to, is that it's not that people don't exist, you know, in any group or on any scale of being good to bad as a fan with their behavior. It doesn't matter what group you are, there's always going to be one or two. If you got two fans, then one of them is potentially going to be one of those fans that you know you'll see on Twitter or social media that kind of behaves poorly like that, and the other one's going to be super cool. The only difference is that you're going to hear and notice and recognize and remember the person who behaves poorly more than you will the people who actually leave good comments and actually, you know, have good discussion and are nice people online. And, you know, this is something, of course, that I've personally experienced, and this is something that I personally recognize, and is something that, you know, you have to have the awareness of it, I think, to kind of make an active effort to say, like, yeah, okay, so that person was shitty, but this isn't everybody. And, you know, the most recent example that I can give is, well, there was a couple people with my most recent Twice reaction video who were who left a couple nasty comments. You know, nasty, not like horrible, like, oh my god, these were scathing, my face was melting or anything like that. But, you know, they weren't nice. They weren't particularly, you know, they didn't come to leave a comment on my video for the purpose of like actually discussing or doing anything like that, like, which is the reason that I upload these videos. Twice, the most recent example, the one that sticks in my mind the most, of course, which probably shouldn't necessarily be a surprise for some people who watched that video and looked at the comments and all that, is one of my BTS videos, that Sunday discussion videos that I uploaded. How long has it been? 3 weeks now. It's been just about a month now that I uploaded that, and yeah, there were a lot of people who were not very happy about that, and were not necessarily leaving horrible, awful comments, but at the same time, you know, the way that they were taking what I was saying and kind of twisting that into some sort of attack or whatever it was that they were thinking is not what was absolutely not, and I don't understand how and why they even came to the conclusions or the thoughts that they did. But at the same time, despite the fact that those couple of people, the handful of people, it was like maybe 3 people in the comment section of that video that, you know, were there just to attack me and harass me over my thoughts and my video, you know, they were the people that stood out more than the probably 30-40 comments of people who left actual, genuine, heartfelt, well thought out answers and, you know, participation in the discussion that video actually started as to about why people, you know, care and all of that kind of stuff. And that was really awesome. And that right there is like the perfect example in a little bit of a, you know, tiny little, it's a microcosm, I guess you can say. It's a little tiny, you know, picture that you can look at that kind of can explain the entire K-pop fandom as a whole. Is that, sure, there are a couple, you know, crappy armies out there. There's a couple crappy XOLs out there. There's a couple crappy onces or blinks or whoever you are. It doesn't matter how popular you are or how you know, how unknown you are. It doesn't matter. You know, there's always going to be somebody out there who is crappy. But as in the comments on that video, there are way more people who are actually really cool and are much more, and just in general, aren't complete assholes all the time or sometimes, or don't come across like that, you know. And that's something that's really kind of hard to realize and hard to kind of understand and process. And I remember I left a comment on that video to someone who had said, like, you know, something like, it doesn't give armies the, you know, something that kind of expressed a negative feeling towards armies and the way that they act as a fandom. And I'm like, I understand that, you know, that these people, just as a general thing, you know, armies, XOLs, whoever, don't have a good name, they don't have a good reputation, but you really should take it on a person by person basis, and not go like, not read someone's Twitter profile, and when they identify as like, I'm a part of this fandom that has a horrible reputation for being poor behavior, or for poor behavior, don't just assume that they're going to be horrible or anything like that. Just don't do that, because you have no idea. And you just take it on an individual basis, interact with everybody in good faith until they until they, you know, show that they're not worth your time, and move on. And try your best to not let that kind of cloud your perception and your vision of what fans of that group are like as a whole. You know, just don't do that. It's really kind of unfortunate that a small handful of people who support any group can make the rest of them look really, really bad because they just don't I guess know how to kind of participate in the community in a constructive and positive way. It seems like it's always something that's like destructive, and it's not, and negative. And you know, it's unfortunate that that's kind of the way that it goes, and it's unfortunate that those people are the ones that shape the perception of that group of fans as a whole. But you know, it just is what it is. But like I said, it isn't limited to just, you know, fans of popular groups. It's fans of unpopular groups and fans of groups that you don't know, and fans of everyone like that. There's always the bad people in a group that spoil, that just ruin it for everybody else, and it's unfortunate. It really is. So that's really all I got to say. I think the last half of this video wasn't necessarily pertinent or relevant to the topic, but it was, I think, a perfect example of kind of a little bit of what I was illustrating kind of tied into, is that, like, sure, you know, big groups obviously are going to have a bad reputation because they've got more fans who act poorly, and those fans are going to be the ones that are most noticeable. And that also applies on a smaller scale, obviously, to groups that are not popular. So, you know, just keep all of that in mind when you're talking about this stuff, or when you're reading somebody's comments on, you know, on YouTube or Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or a forum or wherever it is that you talk about K-pop. Just remember that person speaks for themselves only, not everybody else. And you know, that's something that I personally struggle with too. You know, I will not lie about that. It definitely is a little. You know, sometimes when people leave these comments and just make a big deal about stuff, then I'm like, you know what, fine, I'm never gonna make a video about your favorite group again because I don't want to deal with this shit. You know, it kind of sucks the fun out of stuff when people take this stuff, you know, do that kind of stuff. But to be fair, I kind of understand the reason for it and all that stuff. I just don't, you know, appreciate or follow K-pop in the way that they do. So I'm gonna stop talking because we're about to start going in a completely different direction that's not even relevant to the topic of the video. So that's gonna be really all that I've got to say. Like I said, the first half of this video is much more on topic than the last half. I'm sorry about that, I think, but that's all I got. So as I said at the beginning of this video, if you guys have got any suggestions for, or you guys want to hear my thoughts on something, then leave that down in the comments below. It could be a question, it could be a statement, it could be a nice long essay to kind of explain and give your side, or whatever it is. Put it down in the comments below. I'm definitely, you know, obviously, like I said, ideas and, you know, ideas to make content is definitely very useful. It helps me out a little bit. I don't have to work so hard, and I appreciate that a little bit. Also, of course, the reason why I made this video, I want to hear what you guys have got to say, so put those down in the comments below as well. And the topic for this video, just as a reminder for those of you who watch all the way to the end, the topic for this video was actually voted on out of a group of topics that I've got by my supporters over on Patreon. So if you want to help kind of support this channel, support the content, help the channel grow and become better from now until forever in the future, then you can go over onto Patreon, you know, help me out a little bit, or support, pledge, do whatever you want to do, and you will get the ability to kind of have a little bit of a say in the content that gets made by voting on the topic for Sunday discussion videos. You'll also get early access to those videos as well. I'm doing my best to actually make that a thing. So go do that. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description box below. There should be a description link down there. You don't have to do it. It's not it absolutely is not a requirement. So, you know, and I'm not forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. Just let that be known. So that's going to be it for this video. That's all that I have got to say. So that's going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.